Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This past month in June, I just completed my 30-day knitting challenge in honor of those battling leukemia. I had a fundraiser that is still going on. If you would like to donate to help us find a cure for leukemia, I will have that linked down in the description. So during the month of June, I was doing a bunch of different knitting projects, and I wanted to share what I was able to complete during that challenge. Many of the patterns that I followed will be linked in the description below. Some of them I improv, so I may just tell you how I did them. Stay tuned and I will show you. So for day one, this was the first project I did, was the small bag using chunky yarn. I had 2 buttons on it, and it does open and close and store all sorts of cute things in it too. Just like that. So I hadn't done very many knitting projects prior to this challenge aside from scarves. So I thought this was a good project to start with because it was worked straight. And then I just had to sew down the sides and then just sew the buttons on. So very beginner friendly if you are still starting out with knitting. And so the pattern was very easy to follow as well. That will be linked down below. These are some hearts that I had knitted. I did find this slightly challenging just for me personally to do this portion of the heart. You can tell that it's not quite there. It's a little loose. So it was a little bit of a challenge for me as a pretty new knitter. This was my second heart, so by the time I had done it a second time, it was a little better. So like they always say, practice makes perfect. So I'm sure if I made it one more time, my heart would probably look a lot more neater. Just use basic acrylic yarn for these. And this was my first time doing anything 3D and stuff like this by hand. I've done things with knitting machines, but I've never actually done anything with just straight knitting needles. And I really loved how simple this pattern was. This was actually where I learned how to increase and decrease, which I had never done before. So it's worked flat. So all this is sewn together, but if you were to open this up, so this part all along here is all sewn. But it's just all worked flat. So you'll have parts where you'll increase and decrease. But I really, really loved how that, and then these were attached. So it was very fun, very cute. Something different that was knit. So I really did love this pattern. This was a good, easy to follow pattern for a beginner. Did a lot of tutorials for beginners on how to do the knit stitch and also on how to purl. So those are linked down below in the description if you would like to learn how to do the basics of knitting. Also on how to cast on as well to start your project on knitting needles. So that was one thing I did on one of the days. Now this was probably the most challenging project I had done. With color changing, I've never done that before. To make a picture just like this, that was very challenging. I did feel like the pattern was very helpful on how to explain. I believe there was a video as well. I can link those also in the description. I did struggle a little bit on this portion. I'm not sure what I did wrong there. But overall, I really did love to just be able to make something a little different and involve some color changing aside from just the typical one color for knitting. And it was fun to be able to turn it into something I could hang up. So challenging, but it was fun to try out. Most challenging, I will say, out of the whole month. But I'm really glad I gave it a chance because it definitely was a good practice on learning how to just change your colors. And the back kind of looked like that, so not too bad. So halfway through my challenge, I went out of town, so I needed something that would be very easy to start and finish at any time, and just something to do while we were on the road. So I just went ahead and did a bunch of squares with the intention of maybe sewing them together and making a blanket or a placemat or something. I don't know really what I was thinking at the time. I just wanted something that was simple, because after doing the cherries, I was like, that's a lot, and I still have another, 15 or so days to do this challenge. And so I wanted to kind of go back to the basics. So I just made a bunch of squares while I was out of town. Just something simple to take a break from all the new techniques. So I kind of just made up how much to do and how long to make the squares. So I cast it on 12 on my knitting needle, and I did 18 rows. So what I did was I counted this as 1. So I didn't count this one specifically, but I counted in between those two. When I was counting on my rows, I counted that as 1, and then 2, and then counted between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then this one was 18, and then I did my bind off. So that's just how I was doing it when I was working. You can do kind of however you want, but that's what I was doing when I was making each of these squares. And some of my squares I miscounted, or I was too busy getting crazy and knitting. I didn't count, and then by the time I did count, I was maybe a row above, so some might be 19 and some might be 20, and some also just the yarn is smaller. So I was just kind of having fun making squares. What I'm going to do with all of these, I don't know. Stay tuned, I guess. We'll see what I end up doing with all of these. I did make a couple washcloths. I did not weave in my ends yet. I get kind of too excited making my projects. I don't always weave in my ends right away, but I did make 2 washcloths. These were fairly fun because they start by working in the corner and you just zigzag across, and then when you reach like the halfway point, then you start decreasing. So I liked how very simple it was, just starting in the corner and working your way. I definitely felt like it was fairly beginner friendly once you kind of understand how to do the work with these little corners and such. But overall, I've never done this before, and I was able to pick on it fairly quickly. So that was just really nice. There's even a YouTube video, I can link that below, on what I followed. So I did like how these worked up. They were probably one of my favorite because it was pretty simple to follow. So, and these are both, I believe, made with cotton yarn. Nice fun project if you want something simple and basic. Go ahead and made 2 bookmarks here. I do have a tutorial on how I made these. It's also linked below. So pretty basic. You just knit back and forth. I have a specific amount that I did, and you can follow that all in my tutorial because I go in depth on how I did everything. But these were fun because it was just something simple but also useful. So I did like that. This one was really cool to see in the picture of the pattern that I saw this, because I had no idea how they did this. I had never seen this technique done before. Mine needs to be pressed again. I pressed it and then it's curling back up, but I thought it was really cool how it makes a heart. I made this in honor of my anniversary, so on that day I had knitted this, and I did it in my favorite colors. We had blue as our wedding color, so I thought it was kind of fun because this was the colors of our wedding. And I also just like the color scheme of blues and greens, so I thought it was just something fun to make on my anniversary. And I felt like this was a pretty easy. It looks complicated, but it was actually really simple. Once you, like the washcloth, once you kind of figure out how this technique works, it's not too bad. And you just keep doing it all the way up. And there's the back. Almost like this side looks a little better. Either way, that's the fun thing. Most of the time you can use one side or the other. These, I made some scrunchies. Whoops. So that was kind of fun. This yarn was it was a 4-weight yarn, but it was on the thicker side, so it came out much bigger than this one did. So these were fairly simple. These actually were really not that complicated at all. You just make a really long, like you have a certain amount that you'll have to cast on. Really just a long piece that you are knitting. So I think that's the only thing that if you're just not used to working for very long pieces, but overall it really wasn't that complicated. I think the only thing that I found that was slightly challenging was that they did have a different bind off that I wasn't used to, that I had to go and look online on how to do, but that wasn't too bad either. I can also link the tutorial that I followed that was very, very helpful in doing the special bind off for this specific pattern. But I thought these were great because there's something you can use. You can choose whatever yarn you want and choose whatever colors, so you can make every color to match all your different outfits, or even if you just wanted to wear them as just something that's stylish. I mean, these turned out, I think, very cute. I'm kind of tempted to make a bunch of different colors myself because they really weren't that complicated. Now this project is still in the works. I was not able to completely finish this project because I started doing this about halfway through. When I was on my trip, I actually went to a yarn shop where they had a book, and I'm actually going to show you that book here in a minute, and it had a bunch of different knitted shawls, and I thought it was perfect since I was already doing my knitting challenge. It'd be fun to try to see if I could find something unique to make. And so this was one that I had seen in there that I thought would work up a little faster. I just didn't have the time. And I'll still continue this even as the months go and just as I have time to do it. It was very complicated, to be honest. I have never done this technique before. I had to do a lot of Googling and searching and watching YouTube videos on how to do this technique because the book did not really explain fully on some things. So I think I had to look up a few of that stuff. The book I picked up at that yarn shop, this is it. It's Knit Shawls and Wraps in 1 week. I will have to really give that a full review once I actually attempt to do one in that amount of time. I just did not have that time when I started doing this. But I do think there was some very cute different shawls for different times of the year too. That's something I did like when I looked through it. They have all these different times of years. This one is a summer one, and that's what I thought was kind of nice, is spring and summer. So I tried to do something that was for this time of year. This book you can get in the description below through Amazon with my affiliated link if you want to be able to make any of these very fun looking shawls and cowls. It's this one, like, look at that. And I'm not even doing the exact yarn that's being used in here. I'm just using basic acrylic yarn, whereas they do suggest to use DK weight yarn, and I'm not doing that. But you can, it's still the same kind of colors as you can see. It's not too far. A little yarn shop that I had gone to was called String Theory Yarn Company. So they do have a Facebook as well. I very much enjoyed their shop. If I ever happen to find myself in the area, I will definitely swing by. They had so many yarn selections. Very, very cool. I had never been to a actual yarn shop before like that. So that was very special to actually be able to hold the yarn and look at it. It was very pretty. I unfortunately was not able to purchase any of the yarn. I was not expecting to go to this yarn place, so I did have to buy something though, so that's why I bought a book to support. But it was definitely very cool. I would recommend, if you find yourself in Illinois, anywhere near this area, definitely stop by, especially if you were very into different types of fibers and yarn. They had a whole area for knitting, a whole area for crocheting, basically all that you could ever need for either of those. Just this tiny little area, but it had so much in store. So definitely would recommend. I am definitely going back there. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about all the different things that I made in the last month. Maybe it inspired you to make some of these projects. Hopefully it was just entertaining to see the different things that you can knit. So if you have any content that you would like me to make or tutorials, please drop them down in the comments below. I look forward to attempting different things and to create more with you all. So thanks for watching.